Clemson in the Big Ten. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We break down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis based on your engagement and participation. All right, let's get to it. Something that would have considered to be completely ridiculous just a few years ago. Clemson playing in the Big Ten, a school from South Carolina that has a history against the ACC, of course, in the ACC, and against teams in the SEC playing in the Big Ten. There is no connection there. However, we know in this new landscape of college football realignment, anything is possible. The Big Ten extends from coast to coast now, and the Big Ten could be heading east and south. We shall see. And of course, they could have a battle between the SEC and the Big Ten for properties like Clemson and others at the top of the ACC, and also consider the grant of rights. We've addressed those topics elsewhere. Please check out those videos. That is not the purpose and the mission of this video series. It's to take schools that have been rumored to possibly be lured by or intrigued by or interested in another conference, and how would that team, that program, fare in a new conference. So it's Clemson in the Big Ten today here at the Voice of College Football. Let's check it out. Let's look at the past results with the Tigers against the Big Ten. It's been Clemson against Ohio State. That has been everything Clemson has done against the Big Ten, but we are taking current Big Ten schools, so there's a lot of Clemson in Maryland as well to examine when the Terps were in the ACC. So before we can look forward, we look back. This is one of the stellar national series that's been created because of the playoff in college football. Clemson, Ohio State. Tigers won the first three matchups. That was a Orange Bowl appearance in 2013 against the Buckeyes. Remarkable game, 40-35. Very entertaining game, went down to the wire. Deshaun Watson and that Clemson defense completely annihilated J.T. Barrett and company in the playoff in 2016, 31-0. We had the epic back and forth and the controversy throughout the game and at the end of the game with Clemson winning. And then the Buckeyes gain revenge in the playoff just a year later in winning big. Before that, it's Clemson against Maryland, and that was a Maryland program in the ACC. So these are not necessarily Clemson against Big Ten results, but we're projecting forward. So we're including all the programs that are currently in that conference. So it's a lot of Clemson in Maryland. And circa Dabo Sweeney, of course, Clemson blasted Maryland on a regular basis. If you go back to 2009, that would have been Dabo's first season. Clemson lost to a 2-10 Terps team, 24-21. Before that, it was a fairly even series with Maryland showing up with some 500 ball clubs, showing up with some good teams under Ralph Friedgen in the early 2000s. Look at those Terps teams, 10-2, 11-3, 10-3 in three consecutive seasons, and they got the best of Clemson in those games, 37-20, 30-12, and 21-7. In fact, aside from Ohio State in postseason play, Clemson has not played a team in the Big Ten. Take Maryland aside because they were in the ACC. Clemson has not played a team in the Big Ten, aside from Ohio State, since the 1990 Hall of Fame Bowl against Illinois. This is one of the major issues I have with college football and college football scheduling. Topic for another time, a topic that's been addressed many times here at the Voice of College Football, and we will address it in the future. Scheduling needs to change in college football. Instead, we look at Clemson's totals against the Big Ten since 2000. It's 11-7, 3-1 in postseason play. All those games against Ohio State, of course. The Maryland series is 8-6. So again, it's all Ohio State for 4 games, and it's Maryland for 14 out of the 18 games. 8 games against ranked opponents. Clemson is 4-4. They are 7-3 against non-ranked opponents. They've got an 87-point advantage in this 18-game series. These Clemson teams, so if you take all these games and you look at Clemson's record for those teams in these games, they're 166-59, and they're taking on Big Ten teams that aren't quite as good as they are. So generally, that's Clemson and Ohio State being elite in college football and being very comparable, and this is Clemson over a long haul of 14 games just being substantially better than Maryland, because that weighs down the Big Ten record of 136-86. So Clemson's record of 11-7 is probably pretty fair, pretty equitable, considering that they're about 30 games better than their Big Ten opponents. Clemson since 2000. Well, this has been a football program that was up and down, a decent program, a lot of 7-5, 8-5 kind of teams there before Dabo Sweeney showed up as wide receivers coach and took over as the head coach in 2009. Then, of course, Clemson took off. When you add it all up, 227-78 since the year 2000. Clemson is 137-48 in conference play, 60-5 in their last 65 ACC games. So before that, they were 77-43, and now a 60-5 run for the Tigers against the ACC, including even in a somewhat down year here in 2022, they went 8-0 in conference play, and of course 9-0 after they defeated North Carolina in the ACC championship game. The bowl record is 14-12, including playoff appearances, with 7 finishes in the top 10. Of course, those were almost consecutive from 2013 on, and then top 25 finishes 17 of the 23 seasons since the century turned over in 2000. 8 ACC championships since then, 6 consecutive from 2015 through 2020. Clemson football in the 21st century has basically been before Dabo, which is a fringe top 25 program. Then it was Dabo's climb when they started to defeat teams like LSU and Ohio State and other really good teams in that climb of 2011, 12, and 13. Then it was the Dabo dominance of winning 2 national championships, appearing in 4 national championship games, dominating the ACC for 6 consecutive seasons. Now, could it be the Dabo slide? I don't want to overstate that, of course. In the last 2 seasons, they're 21-6. They did win the ACC this past year, but not near the Dabo standards of 2015 through 2020. We know if Clemson joins the Big Ten and they are Clemson of the past decade, then they are a major, major factor in the Big Ten. Even after taking a step back, they're basically Penn State right now, you would think, but certainly they're that close to being Ohio State, Michigan, USC, or even the dominant program in the Big Ten. But for right now, it's Clemson and Penn State. But of course, Clemson has shown us much more. They get that generational quarterback and continue to bring in those top 10 recruiting classes. Could it be? That's a topic for another time that we have addressed here at the Voice of College Football. Again, keep up with us because we certainly delve into everything college football, realignment included, if it's valid. And join our guys, Tiger Paw Craven and Jordan Bowman, each and every Thursday night on the Clemson channel, 9 Eastern time. They go live. They take your comments and questions right here at the Voice of College Football.